And our next guest is a men's basketball assistant coach. His name is Quincy Lewis. Quincy, welcome back to BYU Sports Nation.
Hey, good to be here. Good to be here.
Great to have you on a game day. You had the Cougar tip-off Friday. Good stuff there. We'll break that down in a moment. But always good to play somebody else, right? And St. Martin's is in town.
It's about time for us. Our guys are they're done playing against each other. It's time to get some different competition. So this will be good.
Before we get to talking about that and recapping Cougar tip-off, I'm curious, what was the reaction with the program when you found out you were picked third in the WCC?
You know what? There's really good teams in the league. And San Francisco, San Diego, those guys are both really good. St. Mary's has a really good tradition. They have one kid back who's a very good player. So we're not too worried about where we're getting picked. We're just kind of focused on what we're doing.
It's always fun to see how coaches and teams handle that because it's like, oh, this is motivation, or we're gonna completely ignore. There's no middle ground, right? It's like you gotta pick one of those. Okay, Cougar tip-off was Friday. Intra-squad scrimmage. Yoli Child scored 35. You have a nice performance from Luke Worthington, Jashir Hardnett, TJ Haas, a lot of guys. What stuck out to you?
I was really happy with our balance. Just like you said, Luke had 18. I think Jashir had 18. TJ had 16. I was really happy with how we shot the ball. We shot over 40% from the three as a team. And, sometimes you worry, you get into your preseason scrimmages after practice and you keep track of the stats. And, we were consistently shooting over 40%, but then you get under the lights and you're not quite sure what will happen. And it was good to see that it carried over.
We've been running a soundbite from Coach Rose during our headline segments today, and it was talking about Jashir. And just looking at the Cougar tip-off, he looked really comfortable out there.
Yeah, I think Jashir has taken another step. He came back 5-10 pounds under where he was last year, and you could tell he'd done some work. And, sometimes when you move from like a JC into a Division I, it just takes a little bit more time. And he had a good year last year, but I think he can do a lot more for us this year.
People are familiar with how it works in football where you have an offense coordinator, he calls the plays and so on. You've kind of taken that role, offensively. Is that defensively as well? Are you that guy?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's Coach Rose who's going to make the final decisions,
Sure.
Offensively or defensively. But through a game, maybe, like with Terry Nashif before or with Heath.
And Dave Rice before that.
Yeah, and Dave Rice before then. Yeah. Then I'll have a little bit more, control of some of those things, and Coach will kind of give me direction on what he wants to see.
So within that, what went into the decision of the style that you're going to play, which appears to be more up-tempo and more like the BYU teams we saw a couple years ago?
Yeah, I think it has to do a lot with personnel and what this particular group's going to be good with, and also with, Coach Rose. I mean, the guy's had a ton of success, and he's had a lot of success getting up and down the floor and being maybe a little bit different than other teams. And so we're maybe moving more towards that direction. We'll see where it ends up at the end of the year.
Because of personnel, are there any other changes that fans may notice that are going to be implemented this season?
I think it's just maybe a little bit more of an open style. Not so much as, we want to race it up and shoot it as quick as we can. That's not what it's about. It's more maybe opening the floor up a little bit to drives and maybe not as much with two players inside the three-point line.
What's gone into Yoli Child's improvement from three-point land? Because he goes 3 for 3 to start the Cougar tip-off.
Yeah, what this was something that towards the end of last year he started becoming a little bit more comfortable with. And to be honest with you, it begins with Yoli Childs and how hard he's worked, in the off-season and before practices, after practices. I mean, it's no coincidence that the guy's put in a ton of time and he's having some success out there. And really it's something that we feel comfortable with now, and especially with what our scheme is. You'll see him out there a little bit more. And we feel like it's not only his ability to shoot that shot, but his ability to take people off the dribble, a big guy. So his versatility is really a key for us offensively. As we all know, he's been so good around the basket, and we'll continue to use him in those spots. But putting him out there on the three-point line, if somebody wants to guard him with a 5, that's going to be a hard matchup.
Connor Harding and Gavin Baxter are the two freshmen that have come in off of their missions. How have those two guys come along early?
Connor is, he's just a tough guy who does a lot of little things that help you win. And I see him really developing through the year. I think he's got a lot of good things in front of him. And Gavin is a kid that is just, boy, he's just loaded with talent. And the thing that I like so much about him is he is coachable and he wants to be really good. He's another guy who's put in a ton of time, and he'll be in the gym early and late, and I see nothing but good things for him as well.
Talking to Quincy Lewis, men's basketball assistant coach. They're playing St. Martin's, a D2 team, tonight in an exhibition on BYUtv and BYU Radio. What do you want to see out of this exhibition and Westminster to get you ready for Nevada? And there's a stark difference between these two games and top 10 Nevada.
There's a little bit of difference. We want to win the games. First of all, I mean that's why we're playing them. But really with the St. Martin's team, it's a good team. They won 25 games last year. And they played Washington in an exhibition last year and lost by 4 points at Washington.
Wow.
They hit 18 threes in the game. So it tells you that they're a team that if they're capable of making some shots and being competitive in a game. And so we want to make sure that we're mentally ready to go and that we do the things that we've been doing all preseason.
Obviously, especially early in the year, every coaching staff there's going to be some unknowns because you're still trying to work things out. How close do you feel you guys are to kind of knowing what this team is capable of this year?
Well, I think you have an idea because we're an experienced team for the most part, and so that gives you maybe a step ahead of where we have been in previous seasons. But really, it's the personality of the team and what you become as a team is a process. It's not something that you arrive on November 1st and you got it. I think it's something that happens through November 15th through December 1st, and then all of a sudden then we get Nick back, and how does that change everything? And so, I think that the story for this team will happen over the course of the year.
You've tweeted once. It was March 29th, 2016. It was for us.
Why did I know that you would bring that up?
In the Garden. Are you going to tweet at some point in the future? Another one.
It's got to be a big one.
It's got to be a big one.
It's got to be a big one.
Perhaps in Vegas.
Special,
in the second week of March.
Vegas. That'd be a good time to tweet. If I'm tweeting in Vegas, we're all happy.
Okay, I catch your drift on a certain Tuesday. Well, we appreciate the time. We look forward to the game tonight.
Yeah,
Thanks,
excited.
Quincy.
Yep.
Okay, watch it on BYUtv. Listen on BYU Radio tonight, 9 Eastern Time.
Coming up, Cougars in the Big Apple and your new BYU Hoops captains.
And Quincy, let's have you sign our flag. It's a new one before we go.
Anywhere
Plus,
you like.
is Squally Canada right here? A brand new one. Plus, is Squally Canada playing Saturday or not? We'll tell you. This is BYU Sports Nation.